Welcome to Snarktown. My name is Brian D. Meeks, and we're going to continue reading from my snarky satire, Underwood, Scotch, and Rye. When we last left Arthur in chapter 13, he had just he had just gotten back to his office after teaching his second class of SMS 301. Chapter 14. Arthur looked at both ends of the couch, but sleep was nowhere to be found. He gave up. An hour of swimming about in the shallow waters of the internet on sites like CNN and Yahoo did nothing to change Arthur's low opinion of the human race and society in general. A link caught his eye. It led to another. Before he knew it, there was an article about a new phone prototype. When he was done reading the article that talked about a transparent phone, he screamed, "Are you kidding me?" The door flew open. "What is it? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Actually, no, I'm not. Look at this," he said, pointing to the screen. A see-through phone? Huh. I'm not sure I see the point." "That's why I screamed," Arthur said. His secretary shrugged. "I'm not sure I see the point of screaming either." "How do I get paper on this thing?" "Do you mean you want to write something?" "Yes." She took the mouse and brought up Microsoft Word and said, "See this little disk in the corner? This is how you save. If you need help, let me know. This is quite a leap forward for you. I'm impressed." Arthur waved his hand and she walked out. He began to type. "I admit I've never nurtured my tech phobia since..." Let me try that again. He began to type. "I admit I've nurtured my tech phobia since before the word tech was even used. Today, I read about something that has me hotter than a summer day in Dallas." I'm just doing a horrible job. That's not what I wrote. I'm looking at the page. Dallas came out of my mouth. Not actually what's in the book. Let us try that one once again. Arthur waved his hand, and she walked out. He began to type. "I admit that I've nurtured my tech phobia since before the word tech was even used. But today I read about something that has me hotter than a summer day in Death Valley. It seems that a company in Tokyo has developed a prototype of a phone that is see-through. It's clear plastic, and when it's off, it's nothing more than clear plastic. Well, whoop-de-doo. I don't know how many hours they've spent developing this technology, but I'd wager it wasn't inexpensive. I'd guess it cost well over $5, which I think would have been better spent on a cup of coffee. Now, charging $5 for hot water poured over beans is crazy, but only marginally less so than the people, myself, who pay the ridiculous price. I digress. Why would being able to see through your phone be important? It isn't a trick question. I want to know. Oh, sure, maybe it will be cool. But there are plenty of things that are cool. There are plenty of things that should be transparent. Politicians come to mind, but no amount of research, technology, or money is going to create one of those. I played poker with a guy back in college whose bluff redefined transparent. He paid for my junior year. I remember a woman in New York. I think her name was Sally or Susan or Hottie McHotterson, but the name isn't important. I think I was 14 at the time. She had long legs, high cheekbones, and breasts that were hidden behind a blouse that I spent many summer evening wishing was transparent. The day I saw the advertisement in the back of a comic book For X-ray glasses, I felt like I had found the Rosetta Stone. I did odd jobs for 2 solid weeks to make enough money to send away for the glasses. It was hard work. When they arrived, well, let's just say that Hottie McHotterson remained ungawked. It was a dark day indeed. It's been 39 years since that disappointing package arrived. Surely, given almost 4 decades, the scientists who wasted their time developing a phone you could see through could have spent that time making the dreams of teenage boys come true. Isn't that a better use of resources? This is our problem as a species. We don't think. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not even a rocket enthusiast. But can't we spend less time developing useless crap and more time solving problems like housing in third world countries, water pollution, and hangovers? If I'm wrong, please explain. I'll be glad to make a public apology to all the needy people who are suffering through their dull lives without being able to see the palm of their hand as they play on their smartphones. I'll even buy you a $5 cup of brown water. Arthur lifted his head from the keyboard. The screen stared back, expressionless. It didn't have the personality of his typewriter. There wasn't any triumphant zip as the last page was yanked from the carriage. It just sat there. What do I do now? He said bravely. He said barely above a whisper. On one hand, he literally didn't know what to do. Arthur wanted to see his words on paper, but had no idea how to get them from the screen to a piece of 20-pound white. On the other hand, he had just written. His stomach churned at the thought. Or was it the late night? The clock, old and familiar, showed that he clearly had a few hours before his next class. He read the rant again. Without warning, the very same clock leapt forward, and it was 15 minutes until noon. He grabbed his briefcase and walked out. Mrs. Putzer, there's something on the screen. Would you mind using your considerable computer prowess to see that it gets onto a piece of dead tree? It was awfully quiet in there. Did you get some rest? Do I look that bad? You've looked worse. Thanks, Arthur said. The class was only 2 buildings down, so he had plenty of time. He pulled his phone out and brought up the Twitter app. There was a tweet from a woman named @Nikki_R. He read it. I admire Emily Dickinson, staying alone her whole life. She wrote passionately of life and love. I wonder how lonely she must have been. Arthur, still full of see-through phone angst, slowly typed a reply. How do you know she was lonely? Not all who are lonely, not all who are alone are lonely, and not all who are together are loved. He didn't hit send, though. He wasn't sure who the woman was because he didn't remember following her. He studied Twitter and saw he was following close to 130 people. He hit contacts, found Wen, and was confused for a moment. He touched her number and the phone started calling. She answered. Lou, have you been messing around with my Twitter account? Yes, I hope you don't mind, but it seemed rude not to follow your students back, so I went ahead and did it for you. That's a valid observation. Who is Nikki? Oh, yes. Well, she is someone who followed you. Some of her tweets were interesting and about books, so I thought you would want to follow. You are aware that I don't really care for people. Oh, you were just saying that. Would it be more believable if I tweeted it? If you want, I can unfollow her. No, it's all right, he said, then explained his quandary about whether he should reply. Wen explained that it was exactly the sort of thing that he should do on Twitter. Arthur hit send and climbed the stairs to his classroom. That was chapter 14. And one thing that I find interesting about this is, well, a couple things. One, I'm reading from a proof. This was the original proof that I got sent, and I'm finding lots of mistakes, which isn't something one should probably be bragging about or even mention, but I'm curious if I've fixed them. So I may need to go back and do another pass. There was a horribly disturbing instance of the first quotation mark of the pair having a space after it, which the fact that I was able to continue reading was nothing short of extraordinary. And then there was another missing quotation mark where during the long period where he was writing that nearly caused me to weep. So it was a painful chapter. I made it through. I think you'll find that it was an effort bordering on heroic. But that being said, thank you for tuning in. I'm not going to ask you to like or leave a comment because at this point, you know what? It doesn't matter. So, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.